The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Brian for Breaking Down Security. Part 2 of our discussion with Khalila Scott is about to happen. Last week we talked a little bit about GRC tools, picking a good one, looking for pitfalls, avoiding nasty bits. Had some opinions about various GRC tools and how they operate. This week we finish up some of that discussion. Mr. Betcher starts us off by asking a question about what the difference between a GRC tool and a ticketing tool is. But before that, I also wanted to mention that TechSecChix is an organization that Khalila works with and has helped found and is working to increase awareness of the security industry for underserved groups, which is always a great thing. So we talk a little bit about that at the when we make our transition, and you'll hear it fairly easily. And then we talk about hiring, job descriptions for certain groups that look at job descriptions and they go, I don't fit all those boxes that they put in. And would really implore you, if you work in INfosec, to look at your job descriptions. And if you give that job description to somebody and say something like, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. That doesn't really apply. Or, oh, yeah, I've been working here for a year and a half and I've never done any of that. I would suggest maybe taking some time and rewriting what your real job description is. And give that to your boss, potentially. Suggest that, you would get a lot smarter hires. You would be able to find more people if the job descriptions are more realistic. Because we have too many people out there writing job descriptions that don't make any sense, and having unrealistic expectations of what a junior person is, or what a senior person is, or what a SOC analyst should do versus what they do. And so we complain about hiring in INfosec, but really we are the ones who have it within our control to help with the hiring of our colleagues. And, with the perceived notion that there is a talent shortage, it's not really a talent shortage. It's people just don't know how to write a job description. So we talk a little bit about that later on in this episode. So if you, I would put it upon the larger INfosec community, the listeners here, to take a look at your job description, make sure it makes sense. It doesn't hurt to, not copy paste from whatever the hiring version of Stack Overflow is, because that's what we've done. We've just made the same mistakes over and over again, and people keep copying and pasting because it doesn't take too long to write a job description. You just have to make it realistic, So, that was my little mini rant. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Mr. Betcher's going to ask a question here, and then we'll continue our discussion with Khalila Scott.
What is the difference between a GRC tool and a ticketing system? Does one supersede the other, or what?
Now, I'm not sure if one supersedes the other, but I know like a ticketing system that we used doing help desk was called Remedy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I'm out. New dealer. I'm out. New dealer here.
So again, that would be your ideal of a ticketing system, where you can kind of, go through some of the requests that are being made from end users, some of the issues that they are having. It just provides like a centralized location. Before we went to that, I believe it was an instance of ServiceNow ticketing that we were using, if I'm not mistaken. But again, we were taking like live phone calls, and it was just a whole process. So Remedy kind of made it a lot more easier than what we had been using before. during that transition, and it just provided that centralized location. We can look up the tickets, we can look up the information on that person, go through, troubleshoot. We knew what their asset tags were, or what, for whatever they were calling in. It just made things run a little more organized and a little more smoother, having that ticketing system going. So
that makes sense. Yeah. The GRC tool will, the integrations, like you'd mentioned, you can cut those tickets, you can put a deadline on them for people. The GRC tool will usually do things like query those tickets to find out if they're within the SLA. If this needs to be done within 90 days, it will send out reports saying, hey, you've got 30 days to finish this ticket.
So they kind of work in tandem, right?
Right. And again, there's some GRC tools that incorporate a lot of those things in if you don't have a Jira or whatever, because not every company has, an overall, overarching ticketing system, for instance. There's definitely a lot of PM related items like, IT PMs, or, your PMO may be involved with, spearheading a lot of that stuff. It sounds like that's what you were doing sometimes when you were dealing with Remedy. Gross. I just had pee shivers. Ugh. It's gross, man.
Thinking about it.
I used that when I worked at HP on the NMCI contract in San Diego back in the day. Remedy was the tool of choice for that system. Of course, it was a 500,000 seat system, so they needed something similar to that. So Remedy was the thing they used, and it ran on Oracle database. And good times.
What was the thing we used at that place that we worked at, Brian?
We didn't have one.
Old one. No, we had this old one. Yeah, the corporate mothership had one that was like 40 years old.
Yeah, we used it for change requests and stuff. Yeah, that was awful. They used Java. There was some kind of Java thing there with a front end, and I remember it being buggy as hell. But that goes without saying. And
they were thinking about upgrading to Remedy.
Really?
I mean, there are worse ones. There are worse ones out there. I don't remember what
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well.
We are blowing him away tonight.
Oh yeah.
My brain hurts and I feel sad. Yeah. So let me see. So automation is good. Yes. APIs, integration, scalability, customized reporting. That's also helpful. Just like everybody may have their own dashboards, they'll also have their own reporting and generating reports and generating, compliance to those, various compliance requirements. These are just some things. If your organization is looking at getting a GRC tool, these are definitely some things you should be looking at in respect to that. There was a company so a lot of these links go to companies that create GRC tools. And so it's like, oh yeah, here's a blog post. And then, oh yeah, here's why we're awesome. But I was just reading, through some of these like this, and yeah, talking about scalability, this OXL or Oxial or whatever, talking about customization. Either you do it yourself or you pay some organization to do it for you. That can get painful at times. I think just having a budget for something like this, when we were talking, interviewing those orgs, $500,000 was pretty much the going rate for some of the mid-sized related GRC tools after all the integrations and the training and making sure that everybody understood it. Because it really is, you've got people who are ultra tech, and then you've got people who can't, move a mouse without sending a trouble ticket in. So you have to, it really has to
cover all the bases.
Cover all the bases, right? And the UIs have to be, useful, and they have to be customizable in that respect. So, let me see. So implementing, step one, So how implementing GRCs, you determine the total value gained by using a centralized platform. So centralization will save time and money and effort. The problem is getting a bunch of people to agree to a GRC tool. Identify gaps where you need to improve. Missing data, that's a big deal. When you were talking about asset management, how difficult was it to get that information? How hard was it to find that information for you when you were tracking all that information down?
It wasn't very, you mean in terms of using ServiceNow or just in the organization?
In the organization, because I mean, it was probably spread out all over the place, right?
It was. They had already kind of started trying to get some methods going, but I will use, for instance, the one hospital that was doing the Windows 10 update refresh thing. We had to manually hunt down these assets, right, and gather information. What type of we use this app called Smartsheet. Okay. And so what it did was, so like our project manager, she had access to everything we would put into the Smartsheet. And it was in the app we could download on our phones, and we would take like our phones or laptops with us to each individual location. Because at this time, even though we were in a hospital, it was still like COVID was still kind of booming last year. And so a lot of people weren't working at that location. Like it was a lot of the office people in that hospital were working from home. So it was mainly empty. With those people, they had already gotten their information from them. The ones that were working at home, it was the devices that were left behind, or some of the clinics that they had around, because I'm from Indiana. I'm originally from Indiana. So it was the Indianapolis area. They had like clinics all around Indianapolis that we would go to. And those were most of those were fully operational. So again, we would have to manually go and get this information. She would create it was like a form in the Smartsheet. So she created this form for all the information that we needed to get from each one of those PCs to determine whether they were operational or they weren't working, or something was wrong with them. We had a comment section. We put information in about whatever was going on with that PC, why it wouldn't turn on, why it wouldn't work. And so we went from, like, the team really went from place to place and manually got that information. Now, this is an organization with about over 3,000 assets. That's a lot of work.
So you had to hunt the cows down and make sure that was it when you found one that wasn't updated, you had to update it, or did you just make note of it and where its location was? Right,
make note of it, and then basically whatever software where they were using it would at the end of the night send out those updates to those computers. Okay. So we were basically telling them asset tags, or asset names, what type of asset it was, and just whatever information they needed from us. And then they would send out those updates to those computers. And then what we would have to do, maybe like a week or so later, or a few days later, is go back and remediate the ones that didn't take. The interesting thing to me was, if that was 2020, and you didn't even know what you had in your organization up until then, or wasn't really sure if you even still had those assets, imagine someone taking advantage of that. You know what I mean? Like, how can you secure what you're not even sure that you have? So that was the interesting part to me, and it kind of got the wheels turning in my mind, like, this is a really big thing, because without the asset management section, what are you protecting?
Right.
How are you going to protect it? So it was really interesting to see.
Well, you mentioned that a lot of people were working from home. So I can imagine some of those risks where, you've got some computers that may not be in areas that are, there's a lot of traffic, or, so they're just sitting somewhere. So anybody could wander in and log into, I don't know what the security controls for logging in was, if they used badges or what have you, or, you just, hit the button and they'd log in. I don't know, I'm assuming they had some kind of controls, but those are definitely risks that you would highlight, and keep track of those items. So yeah.
I mean, how easy is it for somebody to social engineer their way into a place they're not supposed to be, as a handyman, as an HVAC technician, walk up to one of these rogue computers that you don't even know is in your system and insert a USB drive? Okay, now we got a real problem. But again, that's where that pen testing, vulnerability assessments, like, it's super important. It's very much so important. But it just, again, it was one of those scenarios where this is 2020 and this is what I'm seeing in these different places. So it's very alarming. And then now we got ransomware that's running rampant all across the world. And it's kind of like, now I understand how that is working, how that is happening, how things of that nature are going on, because I got to see the other end of it, where they weren't doing their due diligence, as far as just trying to protect the organization. They weren't even organized themselves enough to just get something together. So it's just going to be a lot of wake up calls. And I'm not going to mention who the hospital is, but they have been attacked recently. Yeah. And I was not surprised when I saw that. I was not. And I hate to see it, but I definitely saw some things on the back end where I was just like, that's...
Hospitals make for a juicy target. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Miss Berlin's got horror stories, I'm sure. So.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Reasons why I'm glad I don't do sysadmin stuff anymore.
So I want to talk a little bit. I think we can get away from the GRC stuff. There's definitely some discussion in the notes. If you are looking for doing GRC type solutions, there's stories here on why you would need one, things you would want to look out for, nice to haves in this case for implementing a GRC tool. We can you can also look at potential pitfalls by there's a PwC article on implementing them and how to avoid various things like business requirements not clearly defined, so insufficient testing, unbalanced staff, etc. I want to talk a little bit about the TechSecChix stuff. The organization you're working on. Why did you feel like that needed to be created?
Okay. First, I do want to ask if I can share this document in the TechSecChix GRC section, because I think this will be extremely helpful for some of the ladies that are coming in, ask me, GRC questions, and I think this is very helpful. So I would like to do that. I would like to steal your work.
No, please take. I would just copy paste this and put it in our show notes anyway. So feel free to do so.
Okay.
So this is this a Slack? Is it a Discord? What do you have?
Yeah.
Okay, Discord.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So for me with the TechSecChix, I remember me being a Black woman. Most of my friends, in fact, like on Facebook, I got a lot of my friends and my family members on there, people that I grew up with, went to school with. Nobody knows anything about cybersecurity at all. They don't know what INfosec is until I told them and started this journey. Like, I shared different things with them, but they really didn't understand what it was until they knew someone that was in it. That was a big thing for me because it made me feel like I was on this journey by myself. And so for me, I decided, I'm like, I can't be the only woman out here feeling like this. This is a male-dominated field. And and again, it can get really lonely. It can get really difficult, really hard. Women face hardships on the job. They face hardships just in tech in general. It's just not, we're very hard on ourselves. Like, people talk about those job descriptions where, a guy will go and apply for it if he doesn't qualify. We're more critical of ourselves, where we are just like, if we don't check these boxes, we're not even going to apply. So, it's just a whole thing. But again, I wanted to provide a safe space for women like myself to feel like they belong. To just have a support system behind them, consistently pushing them on, throughout their journey. I wanted that support myself. I wasn't getting that from my friends and family because they didn't understand cybersecurity. They didn't understand INfosec. So it's hard to have those conversations where you want to vent about something or talk about something or just, you know what I mean? Open the floor when you don't have anybody like you around. So I just wanted to create that just to, again, we have a very good cyber sisterhood. One of the ladies on Twitter, she had a giveaway. She gifted me the Security Plus exam voucher that I took and passed, and like a Daryl Gibson's Security Plus study book. So I used that book to study along with some other courses, another Udemy course for Jason Dion, and then I watched some of Professor Messer's videos on YouTube. And so I used that book, studied, did the questions in there. And when I passed the Security Plus, I signed my name and dated it. And then I sent it to the next chick that was studying for the Security Plus right after me. She used it, passed, signed and dated it, sent it to the next one. So we're on like the 5th person that has that book thus far, this year. But it just really goes to show when you build a genuinely good community, just people will turn out, people will support you in that.
That's motivation.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
Absolutely. And it's just, people don't think of things like that, but it just, we're not just saying, okay, we're an organization, we do this, let's do a con, we actually talk to one another. We actually interact with each other outside of, the internet. I love it because I just feel like I got a group full of my sisters, and whoever I need to talk to is always there. It's always somebody open, if not everybody. So it's really good to have, because it can get really rough and really discouraging for women in tech right now.
Right. And I try to, I don't want to say I pride myself on it, but I don't like to ask anybody, what is it like to be blah in INfosec? It's not a good question to ask. And everyone has their own challenges to do so. And I completely understand that. So you have a Discord. What kind of channels are in there, and what kind of events do you have? So somebody listening to this would be able to, potentially get involved. What kind of events?
I'm gonna pull it up because there's a lot of channels in there.
Really? Okay. Very nice.
So
you got like 400 or 500 people?
I have about 115 or 120. So it's not like a whole lot, but it works.
Yeah.
So we have a like a recipes channel, chicks who game, artsy chicks, so chicks that likes to do art. They post some of their work in there, birthday shout outs. We have like a mental health check-in channel.
Oh, nice.
I think it's just, people don't talk about their mental health enough. So again, women come in and they feel comfortable enough to share that. We support them in everything that they have going on. So yeah, we have a resource center, channel certifications, resume tips, interview tips, tech news, Twitter channel, job opportunities. One of the newer things we came up with is a Roblox channel. where we talk about some of the roadblocks that some of us are experiencing in tech. And so one of them was a lot of people in tech tend to be introverts. And so they don't feel comfortable people networking. So we actually did, I want to say last Wednesday, we did a Twitter space. And over 100 people showed up to the Twitter space, and we talked about people networking and some job searching, tips. So we had Tracy, I want to say Met, I don't want to ruin her last name, but she's INfosec Sherpa on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Caitlin Ringrose from Share the Mic and Cyber came through. TechSecChix came through and spoke to everybody. Tyrone E. Wilson. Who else? Andrew Chapman. I was actually going to interview for a job, and I met him. We did like an intro thing, and we just hit it off so well. So we just kept being friends after that. He's like a super IM guru. Oh my God, he loves it. So he's starting his new YouTube channel where he talks about IM. He wants to get more people into the industry, into the field, and just teach them about it a lot more. So he's like really cool people. I think I named everybody that came through. Plus it was me and the TechSecChix, about 4 of us. But it was really awesome. I think we were supposed to be on for maybe like an hour, and I think everybody stayed in and talked up until, I think it was like 2.5, almost 3 hours we were talking in there.
Wow.
Because you can get, so the good thing about that, you can ask questions, like we can have the audience raise their hand in there and they can ask questions. So they're getting this live feedback from TechSecChix and Tyrone and, Tracy and Caitlin, and they don't have access to them all the time like that. So I wanted to create a space where they did have access to a lot of these people that they look up to, or, have seen in InfoSec Twitter. And they're regular people. Like I talk to these people all the time. Like we have regular conversations, and they're really down to earth and cool. And it's good to be able to show that side of themselves and just, be there for the people, be there for people like me that were new coming in, because it definitely can be a struggle. So it went well. And I'm thinking of, again, with the roadblocks, as I've used some of them in the roadblocks channel, I want to go through and do like a talk monthly, have a panel, and set something up so we can just address and unpack some of these issues, and for people to not feel like they're the only ones that are going through this or they're alone in this. So I think it'll be helpful.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
it's nice to get like tips and tricks from people that have gone through that kind of stuff. Just to like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that angle before. That's why I love the community, because there's people that'll do that like in a heartbeat, just because they don't want to see somebody else struggle the same that they did for so long, right?
So I have a question. One of the last things I did before I left my last job was updated our job descriptions, because some of our job descriptions were fairly old. They were written as though it was just normal people reading them. And, one of my rules was with the job description that if you read it and you go, well, I wouldn't necessarily apply there. Or if somebody tells you, oh yeah, don't worry about that. It's not like that. If the job description is not what your job is actually doing, then it's not really your job description. But I do know that there are specific issues, not just coming from an introvert side, there's people out there, if they don't feel like they can touch every, tick every box in the, requirements, then they won't apply, which is really a detriment to a lot of organizations. So are there any tips or anything that we can do as, not we, the royal we, companies doing, hiring managers or people who are like, yes, I'd love to have more diversity in my organization, but, are we not trying hard enough? Or, are there places that we can, make sure that we're going to get our job seen? Because we definitely want a nice talent pool, because, different points of view bring, better, bring better productivity, brings better, ideas, and we only benefit by being more, a more diverse, community and organization. So, what are some of the things that we should do? I don't know, in terms of maybe job descriptions, or maybe what can we do? I hate to ask that question, because it's like, I'm trying to, hoping that you'll help us figure out this issue, but I'm just trying to, give people some ideas if their companies are small, or they don't know what they need to do, and they don't even know where to start.
So first off, definitely the job descriptions. Some of the requirements for some of the entry-level positions that I have seen, they require a CISSP. They require certain certifications that we are not even qualified to get yet without having work experience in the industry. So that's just one of those things that, if it's entry level, if it's an associate's position, let's just really take a look at those requirements of what we are actually saying. This is what you have to have in order to do this job. Now, you can prefer it. That's a whole different thing, because it still opens up the door where, I may not have what they prefer. I may have this, and this, but I don't have this. But they would prefer it as opposed to it just automatically disqualifies me if I don't have this. And just, it doesn't have to be super, super technical. We are very aware of the job positions that we are applying for. If you're most of the time when you're narrowing it down, if you're applying for a security analyst, you got a very general idea of what it is you need to do. Just kind of generalize it in a way where it makes sense. It's not like, oh, you have to be this, and this, because what happens is, if you start labeling off all this stuff that you may use in your organization, and they don't have experience in that, it kind of makes them shy away from it a little bit. It discourages them before they even get to the application process. And I don't know what that looks like, because I haven't really just taken the time to, go through any, but those are just some general things. Another tip is to, now when I talk about people networking, that goes both ways. So not only do some of the new people coming in need to people network, and the reason I say this, and I can attest to this, is I got my Security Plus exam for free by people networking. I got my internship off of Twitter by people networking. And I just got this job from Twitter, people network. Those are three major things in 1 year by just running my mouth or reaching out in somebody's DM. That is very huge. So again, these are people that are putting these job positions on Twitter and saying, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is an associate's level or entry level position. And then again, your job description matches what you are saying on Twitter. So you can't say you're looking for entry level and then be like, oh, CISSP, sorry, because it's not gonna, now it's a disconnect. But then again, another thing you can do that is so helpful, put a salary range. Nobody wants to waste their time interviewing, going through that whole process to get to the end, and you're not even remotely in their salary range, or like vice versa. It doesn't work for each other. That will save you a bunch of money on your car insurance if you can. So just save some time and what have you. That's one big thing. But yeah, again, the people networking, the people you are looking for, a lot of them are on Twitter. It is a lot of people looking for positions. And again, I quoted that article where it said it was 500,000 cybersecurity jobs available right now. And I'm like, we got about that many people on Twitter looking for jobs. You got to make that make sense to me. It's a disconnect somewhere, and we really need to figure out where and how to fix it fast, because the organizations are going to suffer. You're going to be understaffed. People are going to be overworked, burnt out, because you don't have enough people to do these positions. And now you're making one person do 3 jobs and only paying them for one. But I'm not gonna get on my soapbox.
It's okay.
Don't get me started.
I've always assumed we didn't have a talent shortage. We just have people who don't have good job descriptions for their jobs. And and it's not always the hiring managers looking at these things. The HR folks are, we're doing the Stack Overflow version of CV writing. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to copy paste from this company's, because this company knows what they're doing. They're hiring people out the ass. Well, no, they're not hiring quality people. The other thing, the salary range, I can definitely understand why a company wouldn't do that, because they want to negotiate. But and that is not a good thing, because there is pay inequity issues. The one thing that I have seen, people who are applying for jobs, and I actually, I did this with the last company I interviewed with. I looked for a comparable position on places like Glassdoor or Reddit for, like, if it was a, director of security somewhere, and take the aggregate of that. And then, I refrained from actually telling them a number, because used to it would be like, oh, I'll just tell them what I want plus $20,000 or something like that, and, the job I remember interviewing for Starbucks for all of about 5 minutes, and I was expecting, a security architect position to be like, I was making like 100,000, 115,000 at the time. And I was like, oh, I'll just do 135. And the guy that had told me about the job was like, yeah, base salary for that's like 200K. And I was like, holy shit. And they would have paid me 135 because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Instead of the, right. Because, hey, they made $60,000 on that every year. So, I would suggest for folks that are looking for jobs, that are wondering about that, definitely get on Glassdoor, use some of that Googling, figure out if you can, find an adjacent or applicable position at other orgs, especially places like Glassdoor, where it's like, oh yeah, they'll pay this. Or, if you can find somebody who works at, say, Microsoft, and they can tell you what a 64 makes, which is like a senior PM type position. If you can get that information, then you'll know kind of where they should be looking at in that position. But don't tell them what you want. Don't even tell them what you're making now, because they're going to assume, oh, well, he'll only want a little more. Or
definitely don't tell them what you're making now.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Even if you lie and tell them that, they're still going to expect to do that. Unless
you want something insane, like if you want like 10 times your salary, or like maybe, I mean, you might as well throw it out there. Like, I want $500,000 a year, and then just, I mean, it's worth it. It's worth a shot, right? What I told the interviewer was, I have a good understanding of what that position should pay, and what I'm hoping is that the number you give me will be within that range. And they were like, okay. Actually, my wife kind of told me that one from Tara Wheeler's book. At Tara, she wrote a book on that, and she was like, yeah, don't ever tell them what you want to make or what you make now. And that was, obviously necessarily not written for a white dude, but I learned a lot from that, because I was like, oh yeah, here's what I'm making right now. And, I would tell them within about, 10 plus, and I was like, oh, I'm looking for somewhere in the 150 or 160 range. And they're like, oh yeah, sure. Well, go ahead and pay you 160 for a 200K job, that kind of stuff. So, security folks, get up in there, start looking for applicable jobs for those areas. You're going to find that pay information somewhere, if not on Reddit or on the Glassdoors of the world. It may cost you a membership to find out if if you're expecting 160 and they're going to pay you 140, then maybe it's not a good place to work. Or you could say, I'll take 140, but I want, additional stuff. I want training. I want, more stock. I want additional couple days of vacation if they'll give that to you. Or, there's other benefits to doing that. I don't want to have to relocate. You pay my relocation, which would be, $75,000 to $10,000, depending on where you live, or, if it requires relocation these days. There's other ways you can get that money, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's some important stuff there in just the hiring and the nuance on that. Of course, I've also seen telling people what you make backfire greatly, which, somebody who feels like they aren't, are making, the same amount as somebody who they consider to be less than them, in skill is making the same amount as them. They tend to get pissy, but I have stories, and I'll tell that one later, but I'll tell that one once we stop recording. So,
Well, I can't emphasize enough the power of networking.
right. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I'll tell you a personal story. My first 3 jobs. Number 1, hey, Brian, how's it going? Oh, I'm looking for a job. Really? What's your degree in? Computer science. Send me your resume. That was it. Done.
That must
Second
be nice.
job. Hey, Brian, I'm looking for somebody with your skills. Why don't you apply? Okay. Boom, done. Third job. Brian, I'm in a bad place. I need you. Okay. That was it. My
Yeah.
first 3 jobs were just people I knew. I could go on, but it's very important to become a member of these clubs, right? You know, the if you have a local meetup like CSEC East or
What up?
TechSecChix, whatever it is,
Yeah.
those relationships build over time, and people don't forget.
Right.
People don't forget you, and when they're in a lurch and they looking for somebody, and they they think of you and they say, oh, would she fit? And there's where it works.
I always say that it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. That could be your ticket into breaking into INfosec. That was my ticket in. I mean, again, like, it's just, I can't stress enough to people that I talk to. And I actually have like 3 blogs on my TechSecChix.com website, where I talk about, my Security Plus journey, people networking journey, my internship, and just up until how I got this job. And all of it includes people that have not only helped me along the way, mentored me, taught me things, just people networking. It is one of the best skills you can have in this industry right now.
Yep. Yeah. I've always been saying you network when you can, not when you have to.
Yep.
Yep. So does TechSecChix have a job board or anything like that where people can post jobs, or if they're hiring or looking?
Now we do have within the Discord where we post different jobs that we come across, especially jobs from like LinkedIn, Twitter, nothing super specific to any industry, any area of cybersecurity. So we just post them again. And funny story, like I told you about this job. So one of the TechSecChix posted in our Discord job area, the job that I'm starting tomorrow. And she tagged me and she said, I know you are currently looking for a GRC position. This looks perfect. And so I clicked on the link, and I looked at the job description. I did the application, and then I DM'd the guy who is now my boss. I DM'd him and I said, let me get my resume over to you. I did the application. Just take a look. Let me know what you think. I was the first one that they interviewed out of everybody, and I was the one that they picked. That's
awesome. That is fantastic. Yeah. Sometimes that's just exactly what you want to do. Or, if you don't check all those boxes, sometimes if you can say you've got 3 or 4 of those things, to just, go ahead and apply anyway. And it's awesome you were able to find that. Go ahead.
If anything, it's good practice.
Yep. Because
that is true.
Yeah, I said that too. I said, even if I don't get this position, this has been great, because now I know what to look for going forward, in these interviews. And I was quite prepared. I had a few people reach out to me. Like another guy shared interview questions that were GRC specific, different things, just so I can get, I think it's so important to have your stories together. And when I say that, the basic interview questions, the basic behavioral questions, the basic name a time where, have your elevator pitches ready, have your stories ready so you can talk about those things comfortably and confidently, because it makes all the difference.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Now that make that, yeah, if you can write down like a handful of scenarios for that kind of stuff, it just makes you sound more confident and what have you. Yeah. So that's excellent. Is there anything else that we want to talk about before we go?
I mean, speaking of jobs, we're hiring a whole bunch, and it's also hard to find people.
What? Oh, Blumira careers. What are y'all looking for? What are y'all looking for? Let me see.
So I need another one of me.
Well, what's that?
That's not possible.
I know. I'm definitely 1 in a million, which is still,
you know what? Put
there's a lot of us, but
put the company name or a link or something in the document, and then I can copy and paste that and share that in the Discord as well. Just in case it's a few positions that maybe some of the ladies are interested in or have been looking for, and they can just kind of browse through, and you never know.
Yeah, a couple different things, but yeah, I just need a SecOps person and somebody that is maybe like a sysadmin of cloud infrastructure and wants to move to security.
Okay.
So we're looking to like get somebody that knows a lot about like Azure and all of those things that I have a really rough time setting up and doing in the lab. Yeah.
So I guess the last thing before we go is, how would people join TechSecChix Discord? Is there an invite link? And is there prerequisites, like, not being a dude?
Please don't be a dude.
Okay. I'm not a dude.
Now, most of the other resources and like the website and things of that nature, it's geared towards the chicks plus our allies, which are men and women and just people of all sizes and colors. But the Discord in pertaining to that Discord is strictly women, is strictly anybody that identifies as a woman. Just because, again, that's our safe space right now. Once we will be expanding to where we can have something where both groups kind of come through, have maybe like a TechSec guy or something coming up. I'm just so busy, I haven't had really the time to really put a lot of effort into doing anything extra, but I definitely want to move in that direction because I don't want to leave them out of the mix.
They have enough groups as it is. That's fine.
They do. They absolutely do. But yeah, I definitely would love something where we can interact and it still be a cool, safe space for everybody that is involved. But yeah, the Discord link should be on the at TechSecChix Twitter page. It should be pinned to the page, to the top of the page. So just click the link and come on in.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I've been Discord's very powerful. I've been playing with it just recently because I have a little side project I'm working on. Side project. I guess this would be the side project. Yes. No, because see, I want to start an RPG group, an online like a tabletop RPG group with Fate and stuff. So I've been trying to work on Discords. I've been listening to some actual play. Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, Critical Role, High Rollers, Brute Force, which is another one. And I was like, oh, I'm not saying I'm starting another podcast, but I'd like to start a group that would meet regularly. And so I've been playing around with Discord and trying to learn how to use it. And it's way more powerful than Slack.
It really is. It really is.
And it's free. And I'm a gnat's ass away from just saying, okay, the break six Slack's going away. We're going to have the Discord, boom. But I don't know how people will handle that. So, if we do something like that, it may be for the Patreon users and then we'll slowly bring people over or something like that. But yeah, I've been playing around with the Discord. Yeah, I love it, especially the audio video capabilities, the keeping the logs and all the bots. Oh my God, the bots and the integration is just amazing.
Bots. And you know what? We had one young lady needed some help with her homework, her college homework. She actually just graduated like a month or two ago. And we did one of the voice channels in there and voice and video, and jumped on and helped her kind of push through on some of the ideas for her homework. And, you know, I love the Discord. I think it's pretty dope. I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yep. I do appreciate that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, to bookend this, how would people find you if they wanted to reach out? Hey, you know, I'm interested in joining TechSecChix. I want to help out. I want to do, you know, some speaking. You know, how would they get a hold of you?
Twitter is a good resource, and that is at KI underscore twice with a Y. Because most people call me Kiki. So, and LinkedIn, Kalila Scott on LinkedIn. I'm usually pretty good about answering my DMs or inboxes for both of those places. And then again, you can find the Discord link on the TechSecChix. You can also DM me there as well. I usually pick up pretty quick, or somebody else will. But yeah, the TechSecChix Discord, you can get there via the Twitter page. It's pinned, or the TechSecChix.com website. It has a contact us page where you can get in touch with me either way. If you are not sure what my LinkedIn or other social media places for myself and the TechSecChix is, I have a Linktree link, and it has all that information all in one spot. And plus on my Twitter as well, I have the link there as well. So you can click it, find all those resources all in one location.
Okay, cool. And you said you're working on becoming a 501, I'm assuming a C3, 501c3?
Yeah. And I'm not sure when I'm going to try to implement this. I'm really waiting until I get done with school, so I don't have so much on my plate. I don't want to get overwhelmed. So I'm definitely probably going to push it back till next year, but I definitely want to do that. I want to start reaching out to some of these local schools out here in the Georgia area and the Atlanta area, and just talk to some of the students there about cybersecurity, about INfosec, and just I want to target inner city schools, urban schools, because I can remember going to school back then and nobody ever came to talk to us about tech, about cybersecurity, about anything. So I want to be the representation that matters when they see a Black woman that is in this industry, and know that there's a place for them here as well. So I definitely want to be a part of that movement.
That's awesome. I hear Atlanta is definitely growing, not just because of banks and healthcare, but I believe Microsoft is potentially looking at opening up a large campus in the Atlanta area, which will be great for the tech sector in that area. So very awesome. Very awesome.
They actually have a nice sized building downtown Atlanta.
Oh yeah?
The Atlantic Station area.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a nice building down there already. So I'm not sure what else they're adding to, but I'm pretty sure they're going to add more. Yeah, more space.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Okay. Well, Kalila, I'm so glad you were able to come on the show and able to talk with us about everything, including what you do on the side. I'm looking forward to maybe coming back to you in about 6 months, and we'll talk about GRC in 6 months, because this is something that it never goes away, and it's something that affects everybody at an organization. So
I think by then I'm gonna be the GRC princess, and then maybe like a year or two later I'll be like the GRC queen.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, Brian's an emperor right now.
Yeah, he's the emperor.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys could just battle over like Cyberland.
That's right. We'll fight.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, yeah. Thank you again so much for coming on. I definitely appreciate that. So
thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Right on. All right. So Miss Berlin, and you and I had an interview a couple weeks ago now for a little company that you know of called Blumira.
Yes.
Excellent discussion with Patrick Garrity there.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
he's fun to work with.
He's all right.
He's real fun to work with.
That's cool. So you are hiring, but so what exactly would if somebody was trying to hire, what is your job description look like? Okay. Good night.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Cool.
So we have 3 different ones. We have one on our SecOps team that's fairly customer forward.
Okay.
That helps with like implementation of NXlog and like other various things and getting log flow working.
Okay.
And then like creating custom reports and stuff like that in the software. And then we have 2 incident detection engineers. One's going to be incident detection systems engineer, which they're going to be in charge of running and automating our testing lab and labs in AWS and some other local stuff. And then another IDE that is going to help create just more detections. We're really starting to delve into tying stuff into Atomic Red Team and MITRE.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense.
So, yeah.
When was the last time your job description was updated? Because, is it realistic or is it like, oh, don't worry about that?
No, it is pretty realistic.
Oh, good.
I helped go over it.
Okay. And which one is this? Incident detection engineer?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. Significant personal experience with at least 3 of the following functional areas: SIM and analytics, offensive security, threat hunting, data science. I can't do this job. All right. Well, anyway.
Me neither. Just don't tell them.
Yeah. Well, so you can go to blumira.com/careers to go and check those out. They're also looking for a chief of staff. If you know somebody who's a people person, chief of staff is.
We are looking for developers like crazy. So yeah, we just got all of our Series A money, so we need people so bad, so bad. Okay.
Very cool. All right. So yeah, go check that out. So, so you do a few things on the side, including this podcast, Infosec Roleplay, Hackers Health. Those are all the Twitter handles. Infosec Roleplay is still going gangbusters. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, we just did a 2-hour workshop the other day on playbook development. We're gonna do an 8-hour seminar for an ISP in Indiana in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Where we helped people develop their playbooks and show them a little bit about tabletops. And then I'm getting burnt out, so I told them that I'm not doing anything in November and December.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because I need less side gigs and more just downtime. Yeah, so I am kind of glad the conferences got canceled again because I didn't want to go anywhere.
Okay.
I'm ready to like hang out on a boat and not do anything.
You've only got about another couple of weeks before that can no longer be a thing because you'll start icing over. The boat will be. Yeah,
those boats have to come out of the water soon. Yeah. Sadly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if people wanted to talk with you about all your little side, not all your little side projects, all your side projects, because they're very important. We're doing mental health, for God's sake, and we're going into winter after being sequestered for 2 winters now. So
yes,
mental health is going to be even more important. So how would people get a hold of you if they wanted to talk about mental health hackers or anything like that?
So at Hackers Health for that on Twitter, or info@mentalhealthhackers.org. And then you can get me at InfoSyster, INFOSYSTIR. Okay.
Now, are you still doing the painting thing? Remember, you were going to be sending those out. Is the painting thing still happening?
Yes. Yeah, we actually had a call. Whoa, that's what else I'm doing. I'm doing like 4 different things with VMware with Hackers Health. So they're going to be one of our official sponsors.
Oh shit. Okay.
They have a VMware giving thing internally that they will match donations, I think. And we are their current nonprofit.
Okay.
which is pretty great. And
Nice.
we're going to do a Twitter Spaces thing. We're going to do a LinkedIn Live thing. And it's all for Security Awareness Month, which is October.
Okay. Yes, it is. Security Awareness Month is in October. We
So
just
they
lost
wanna-
Mr. Betcher, but I'll
I
bring him
know
back.
they want the security awareness to be about mental health.
Oh, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
yeah, they're super cool people.
You're just killing it. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Infosec role play on Twitter is the tabletop stuff. You get some swag, so sign up for those, and you can also get your playbooks written while you're doing it. Which score
Yes.
twofer. You got a twofer.
Yes.
So yeah, which is very important. Maybe in the future we should talk about maybe format. Yeah, and there's a standardized format for playbooks. I'm surprised that there's not one, to be honest.
Kind of. There's some good websites that kind of help a little.
Yeah, but you got to pay for that. I'm assuming.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, I mean, a lot
some
of
of
them
them is
you do.
pay.
Yeah.
So excellent work there. Before Mr. Betcher got knocked off, he may come back. I don't know. We'll find out. He had some power issues earlier, so he's the developer for LogMD, which is a logging tool for Windows to make sure your systems are collecting the proper logs, which, in turn helps Miss Berlin at Blumira find threats and evil shit and event IDs that are important for, finding things like lateral movement and whatever. So you can go check that out. He has a free version and then a paid version, which does additional bits. You can go to log-md.com and, check that out if you want to do that. So, got a couple things, our CSEC East meetup this next month, and we have this person coming up as well. You might know him as DA667, Tony Robinson. He's going to be speaking at our October CSEC East. Yep. He's second edition of his, I would say, seminal book on home lab creation is coming out. It is out right now. You can buy it on, I think, LeanPub. But he will be coming and speaking at our CSEC East to talk about setting up labs. And, the second edition obviously is probably going to go into further detail, maybe add some additional technologies that have become commonplace. And
fun fact, he is the first person I ever met from Twitter at my first DEF CON.
Whoa.
Yeah. He tweeted out that he needed help in participating in a CTF. And I'm like, oh, I follow you. Sure. I'm not doing anything. And then he was the first person that I met. And we just did a CTF together, which was super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we're planning on having him for CSEC East, and then he'll come on our show here in a couple of weeks to talk about the book. So if you don't have a chance to come to our virtual CSEC East, then we'll have him on the show. So yeah, we have our Slack, which, like I said, we have our Slack. But there's after going back to Slack, after being on Discord and playing around with that for a couple of weeks, I was like, man, Slack sucks.
It does.
Yeah. And maybe I'm just not using it to its full potential, but it is a little on the expensive side. But we do have a Slack. We have a lot of channels. We have moderation. We have a code of conduct. If you are interested in networking with folks, first go to TechSecChix if you meet the requirements for that. I don't want you coming to us and then going to them, because they're obviously more awesome than we are. But sign up for them, and then come in and send us a tweet to BreakSec on Twitter or bds.podcast@gmail.com. He's back. I feel bad because now I've stole all this thunder. So yeah. All right. So, hey, Mr. Betcher, you're back again. I told everybody about LogMD. Hope that was okay. log-md.com. And they can find you on Twitter at
BetcherPwned. BOETTCHERPWNED.
MOUSE. Wait, no. Anyway, but so I was telling.
There comes that cease and desist.
No, damn it. I was telling them about Tony Robinson, who'll be on in a couple of weeks on the show, about his new book, creating home labs and stuff. And I think that's it. We have a Patreon. Thanks to all of our Patreon users. If we ever did move over to the Discord, our Patreon supporters would probably be the first people to get invites to that. But their money every month helps us with hosting fees. I just actually re-upped the domain for breakingsecurity.com, and which is our official website. Paid for our Zoom every month here, which, to be fair, if we went to Discord, we wouldn't need that. So we'd be able to save a little cash there. But, and then we just have time and effort of putting out a show. So that's, we appreciate their, helping us with that, that tip jar, if you will. So I don't think we have anything else. You can find us, if you can't, supply, put something in the tip jar, a 5-star review on iTunes will also be helpful, or any major podcast platform. We're not a money grab here. So, but if you feel that we were helpful here with GRC or with helping you find better networking, then please feel free to leave us a 5-star review somewhere. All right. Well, that was it, I think, for breaking down security this week. Hope everyone has a great week. Stay bundled up, stay masked, get vaxxed, that way we can maybe actually have real conferences again and make Miss Berlin unhappy by making her go to conferences and do mental health villages and stuff. And, without your vaccinations, we can't have Miss Berlin at mental health villages. So we got to make that happen.
I'm just going to become a hermit.
Yeah. Well, don't be a hermit. That's the wrong way to go. Can't be like that.
Fine.
Anyway, yeah. All right. Well, Mr. Betcher, I hope you have a good week too, sir, and I hope everything goes well with what you've got brewing. So, anyway, yeah. So that was it for breaking down security. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to one another. Taking care of yourselves is always important, especially with mental health, like we talked about earlier, because, like we always say here, you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.